Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Water could flow or it could crash. Be water, my friend. When I first heard that speech by Bruce Lee, it completely changed my perspective on how I do music. Up until that point, I thought that I needed to specialize, which is a lot of what Bruce Lee originally came from as a martial artist. Like, he was specialized in a certain art, and then he was inspired to make his own thing. And his own thing was just taking the best of all the different worlds and combining them based on when they're needed. And that's what that whole quote is all about. The whole quote is about adapting to the situation like water. When you pour water into a cup, it becomes a cup. When you put water into an empty hole, it becomes a puddle, or depending on how big the hole is, it becomes a whole lake, or even an ocean. And then water could be still like a serene lake, or it could be this roaring waves crashing, whatever, So like, I think that the adaptability and the range that water has was the perfect analogy for him to use about like being more flexible with your style. And even though he meant it for his style, I took it for music. And now I'm taking it as just life, because I have a silly side, I have a serious side, I have a poetic side, I have a tragic side. I have all these different sides to me. And why suppress any of that? Like, I've been doing shadow work for more than a year now, and the more shadow work that I do, the more I realize that there's aspects of myself that I've been denying out of shame, out of fear, and like, I even met someone recently, and I just decided to be myself around her immediately. And, whether or not that scares her away, because like, hey, here's me, this is me showing up. And whether or not you vibe with that, then we'll both know what we're getting into, right? So, I just think that there's a level of authenticity that comes when you stop denying certain parts of yourself, when you allow for those different sides to come out depending on the situation, And, more traditionally, when you're meeting someone that you're romantically interested in, you want to put your best face on. You want to look your best. You want to act your best. But that's so performative. And yeah, I'm a performer, but like, what's going to happen if you only show them your good side and you do get in and you do develop that relationship? Once you're in the relationship and the negative sides come out, or the weird quirkiness comes out, what if that person doesn't like that about you? Like, we need to learn to be extremely upfront with who we are with everyone. We don't need to like TMI, overshare, but I think that when we're like meeting people, we need to show up as our authentic selves. And to go deeper than that, what has always limited me in these situations has been my mind. The beginning of that Bruce Lee quote, empty your mind. The reason why I'm so afraid, and why so many people are afraid of taking chances or approaching people or putting ourselves out there, is because on top of childhood trauma, or because of childhood trauma, because of all the things that we've learned throughout this lifetime, we've learned to overthink ourselves into a pit, into believing that, even if it's subconscious, into believing that we're not good enough, that what we're making isn't good enough, that who we are isn't good enough, so we must become something bigger. I need to be this person, and then she'll like me. I need to be this thing, and then people will listen to me. I need to look this way, and then I'll get the attention. You know what I mean? All this nonsense. What about what I want? Like, how much of that are you leaving room or space for your own wants and needs? You can't just base your whole life around whether or not people are going to accept you. And also, like, if you're chasing after someone and you're worried about them accepting you or whatever, and you need to, like, do all these gymnastics in order to figure out and navigate the situation, how much harder is it going to be when you're actually with that person or when you're actually with that crowd of people? I think that career, because I've done music for a long time now, I think career could be a very difficult thing. And I've worked with a lot of musicians where it being in the industry just hazed them out of it entirely because it's very, very difficult. And I understand that there's certain aspects of the industry that I got a little burnt out on during the pandemic. And even though I am so productive that I felt very uncomfortable taking that break was so necessary because it's been nonstop for over a decade for me. And now I'm doing things entirely independently. I'm not worried about record labels. I'm not worried about management or booking agencies or anything like that. And any of those things that I'm meant to work with in the future will come. But I need to build it first. In fact, it's since day one that we've been taught that we need to build it and then they'll come. So when it comes to career, let's just focus on ourselves. Now let's take that and apply that to ourselves regarding wanting a relationship or regarding wanting certain friendships and whatever. Let's focus on ourselves, do our own thing. You know, and I don't mean being alone sitting in your room. That can be part of the process, but I mean like going out there and doing your own thing. Like I like to do open mics or, you know, like read at poetry events, you know, like go out and do the thing, you know, like I'm passionate about these things. Go out and do your passionate. You meet people that way. That's how you do it. It doesn't matter what you do. Just do it and do it with your heart. Like dedicate your heart. I love that quote from Attack on Titan. Dedicate your heart. Because that's what I do with everything I do, is I dedicate my heart. I dedicate my heart to making little videos just talking about the things that I've learned throughout my life. I dedicate my heart to, you know, uploading content daily, to performing more than once a week, going out and performing, to recording myself, to, you know, whatever it is, all the things. Like, why limit ourselves? And the funny thing is 2023, last year, was the year of self-discovery for me. And what I mean by that is realizing that I'm more than just a musician. I'm even more than just a poet. You know, I started doing stuff like this less than a year ago, just the beginning of last year, actually. And, you know, 50-something videos in, I actually really enjoy doing this. So I think the whole point is to expand yourself. Do all the different things. What calls to you? Because if you only do one thing, your growth is not going to feel like growth at all. Especially if you're super hyper focused on an outcome. You're super hyper focused on one particular thing working out. And I'm a Capricorn, so everything was always like just blinders on. I'm focused on this one thing. I'm just a musician. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm only playing here. I'm not doing that. And you know what's funny? Until I started doing open mics, until I started playing out in different areas, until I started loosening up at shows and, you know, not really being so, you know, picky with live performances, like how we're supposed to sound or whatever. As long as it's good, it doesn't matter. Like, this is so funny because maybe it's a little bit of control freak energy, but like, Capricorn creatives really want things to be very particular and really want things to be very, very good because we want it to work out. We want it to be impressive because we know the things that impress us are really good. But how much of those things that we're measuring ourselves and comparing ourselves to, how many of those things have been around for a long time? How many of those things also aren't us? Like, why are we so fixated on becoming something else or comparing ourselves to something else and giving our power away that we're not willing to take a little bit of accountability here and just fully sink into who we are, you know? I know there's people on YouTube that make videos like this, but I don't care. Like, it's something that I wanted to do. And my story's my story. So like most of the other people on YouTube, they either talk about their stories or they talk about like certain things that they specialize in. You know, like I'm not a life coach. This is just the things that I've learned, you know? I'm not selling a course or anything like that. I do have live shows, but like I never advertise for my live shows in these videos because that's not what these videos are for. If you're interested in the music side of things and you want to be part of like a healthy healing community of people, all my live shows are always open to whoever watches these videos. But at the end of the day, I make these videos because I want to share what I've learned with people. And, you know, the same thing with music. I want to express myself. I want to express myself in interesting new ways and what feels authentic to me. And, you know, poetically, I want to dive really deep. I want to like strike a certain nerve, you know, and these are just things I love to do. Who cares about the outcome? In fact, the outcome might be fantastic if I'm not even paying attention to it. And now I'm calling back to something I talked about earlier, the backwards law, that in letting go of something, it comes to us. I mentioned a little earlier that I met someone cool. The way that I met them was I wasn't looking for them. And she approached me. How amazing is that? So this life is unpredictable and it's fascinating and it could be cruel and very hard, but it could also be fantastical and magical and fun. So let's have some fun with it. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed yourself and have a good day.